Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, October 1st, and Miss Mimi and I are sitting in the front porch, just enjoying the weather. I'm having a cup of coffee. I hope you all got to see the huge moon last night. It was gorgeous, but I spent yesterday cleaning up and reorganizing this front porch, which is also kind of like a little mini greenhouse. And I got rid of a lot of tchotchkes that I had in here. I got to thinking I built this front porch mostly to grow plants, and gradually I cluttered it up with a bunch of other things. So I got rid of a lot of the other things. Here you can see the cuttings I took of the coleus, and they all caught. I stuck them all in one pot, and this coleus has never been outside, so I figure it ought to do really well here in the wintertime and give me some color. Pretty much everything else is as it has been. That's my bird's nest fern, philodendron. There I put the stinky plant way in the corner. That's the star cactus. I did start this little succulent dish. I used to have it out on the back, but I can't really see it with the sun coming in. But it's doing pretty well. And I have a bunch of tillandsias. I put them in egg cups. I have 4 egg cups. And I replanted my African violets. I have 2 of them. My anthurium still in bloom. It's been in bloom since the last video I took inside here. Bromeliad. I started training that philodendron up over my little bird cage with the fake birds. I would really like to have real birds, but they're a little too messy. And these are the begonias that I bring inside. I used to have one out on the back deck. They are gorgeous flowered begonias, but you really don't want begonias in a front porch because the flowers fall off right and left. In fact, I took a bunch of the flower stalks off yesterday. They're called torch begonia. There I have a little pencil cactus that a neighbor gave me from up the street. Thank you. And one more coleus up in the corner. Okay, Mimi, you can't go out the front. Come on, out of the way. See you later. I worked on the potager yesterday. Got rid of the tomatoes and okra. There you can see my kale is doing well. I cut back the basil pretty severely. I left 1 eggplant. I had only 1 eggplant this year, and some animal got to it before I did. There I have a gap that I can plant something, and will. Here I put in some Bib lettuce that I had bought. And my Thai basil is doing really well. It was just loaded with flowers. And I cut back the wandering dude to a manageable size. It's a bit thuggish, as you all know, but it's easily controlled. And when I took down the tomato plant, I noticed that I had a little wasp's nest up in there. I'll leave it there for now. I have one 4 o'clock that reseeded itself from a few years back. Of course, it's not blooming yet, because it's not 4 o'clock. And there's Miss Mimi looking abandoned in the front porch. It's been a little while since we've been out front. This clump of banana trees has really come into its own this year. I don't fertilize the bananas per se, but all of my bananas are next to palms, which I do fertilize 4 times a year. So the runoff from the palms will easily keep the bananas fertilized. My fig tree has gotten a huge batch of new leaves. It looks like it's got little figs coming, but I doubt if they'll make it. It's been a little dry. I need to come over here and refill the bird bath, but it's got enough for now. The sun is really hitting this garden nicely this morning. Camelias should be coming into their own pretty soon. I noticed a lot of them are setting bud. Of course, I went to the only one that doesn't appear to be. Yeah, here you can see lots of buds on this. This is the high fragrance camellia. And this camellia didn't make it last year, although it's got buds. It's a late blooming camellia, and the frost got to it. The buds got tantalizingly huge. They're about the size of a quarter, but the frost knocked them off. Maybe this year it'll bloom. And this is my Butterfield yellow camellia. It's got buds, so there's a lot of promise in the camellias. For those that haven't read my bio, this really was a fall-winter garden originally, so it's starting to come into its own. The limelight hydrangea has put in a new flurry of growth. Maybe next year it'll be huge. And I don't know why, but these 2 gardenias seem to have bit the dust, although there's still a little bit of green coming from them. I'll have to fill in that gap. I noticed all of my cycads are sending out growth this time of the year. I don't recall growth being set out in the fall before, but I may be wrong. Here you can see blooms on my loropetalum. I'll see what the bananas are doing out by the street. There you can see them at the base of the palm. They have caught and are doing well. You can see my grass is only half green. Main reason being that's as far as my water hose reached. Marigolds are looking good and very fall-ish. I cleaned them up yesterday. They are a little fragile. If you use a leaf blower around them, it's very easy to break branches off of them. I did notice this particular cycad, the female, is putting out its female structure. It did not have that earlier this year. It's been a while since I looked at it, but it's setting out again. Although I don't think the males are going to come out in the fall, so it's just wasting its time. There you can see my Australian tree fern. I've limbed it up, got rid of the burnt bits. It looks better. But it's still sending up lots of new growth. It's starting to develop a bit of a trunk at the base. Not much, but it's only a year old. Well, I've only had it for a year. Here's where you can tell that fall is in the air. If you take a good look at the satsumas, they're starting to change color. They'll be orange before you know it. And this coleus is still doing well. I keep saying that every time I come by here. I need to take a cutting of this one because I don't have any of that yet. I don't have any more of that, I should say, yet. This camellia, I hope, blooms. It's been like 2 or 3 years since this one has bloomed for me. If it doesn't bloom this year, I may seriously think about planting something else in its place. I filled up the hummingbird container, or a food, or should I just call it the bumblebee food? I was fortunate in that all 3 spider lilies did survive. There was no onslaught of those big black grasshoppers. They might actually have set seed, so I will let them do their thing, and I might get some more bulblets out of them. Back here, it's still looking very lush. I have to water later today because it's very dry. Oh, I did go ahead and find a stake, and I've tied up this plumbago because I like the look of the plumbago running into the camellias. Oh, this camellia is just absolutely loaded with bud. This one just did it naturally, and it looks really nice. And my toad lilies have got lots of buds, so they seem to have survived well all of the heat that we had. Oh, I did discover a new garden center this week. It's Stokely's. If y'all haven't been, you really ought to try it. It has a lot of neat things. This is one of the things I got, the succulent. I don't know the name of it, but I was told that it will survive the winter. So we shall see. If it does, I will get more. Yeah, it's odd. This was kind of a, what would you call it, a scavenger hunt week. I did a lot of buying online. For some reason, I got this bug about having a certain type of candy. And I remember it growing up. They were like fruit slices, but flat jellies with like big crystals of sugar on the outside, and they came in red, green, and yellow, and orange. And I finally found them on Amazon. Actually, I found them on Walmart, but you had to get like a 55-gallon tub of them. Didn't want that many. I was able to find them on Amazon. So I did my first Amazon order ever. Yay! And it won't be my last. My Nepenthes is just absolutely loving this spot. The Sarracenia is starting to recover from being burned. It does this like in the spring. It's almost like this is a false spring for it. There's one of the rejects, the jade plant from my front porch. I'm going to put it in the garage eventually. It just didn't make it out there late last night. These bananas, of course, have done really well. They really get a triple dose of fertilizer because they get it from the needle palm as well as the 2 cycads. I did notice that the one coming up under the deck finally died out, which is good because I'd hated to have to rip the deck up to get at it. There you can see my, what's it called? Great Lakes lettuce. That way if I want a BLT, I can just step right out the door and go make it. Oh my goodness, I just noticed. Here's the other trout lily that I got from, not trout lily, toad lily from Walmart earlier this year. And it's an absolute full bloom. It will get taller than that, I hope, next year. And the other one is over here. So it apparently likes these 2 spots, which is good. So if it likes the spots, I will plant more. This didn't do all that well this year, but I see there is a bloom stalk way in there. Can't think of the name of it. I'll put it in the caption. Can't think of the name fast enough. I know it begins with an L and it's yellow and tall. Oh, scavenger hunt. I was talking about that. While I was on Amazon looking at candies, the other thing I was looking for was, I do watch a lot of YouTube, and there's a lady that does, what is it called? New England Fine Living. And she's a little bit like QVC. A lot of people on YouTube want to sell you something because they don't want to have a job. YouTube is their job. So in any event, she was selling fall in a box. Don't know how much it was, but among the things you got in her fall in a box was maple syrup, or maple sugar hard candies shaped like little maple leaves. And so I was able to find that on Amazon. And I figured, well, while I was at it, I always buy marzipan for Christmas, so I found that on Amazon. So I went and bought all of that. This little dish garden is coming together. And while at Stokely's, I bought another lady palm, or Rapsis excelsa, like eggshell. Rapis excelsa. This was a small one. It was the last of the small ones they had, but they had a huge selection of them. Incidentally, they have a huge selection of palms, although I can't say as if I saw any large ones. But they will grow large enough once when you plant them in the yard. Oh, before I leave, the other thing that's happening here is the loquats are in bloom. They have a very sweet, heavy fragrance. Maybe a slight onion tinge to them, but very slight. It's a very heavy, almost like a powdery smell. But they're starting to bloom in the front yard as well. My datura has stopped blooming for now, but my bottle brush tree has started. I imagine next year it will do really well. It has been in the shade for the last few years and it likes full sun. So provided it makes it through the winter, it should do really well. I'm trying to get a close-up of the flowers, but it should form a nice ball. At Bellingrath Garden in the Oriental Garden, there's a huge bottle brush, probably about 15 foot tall. That is, if they didn't cut it out. There is change afoot at Bellingrath. They are cleaning some of the areas out. And I replanted this one boxwood. The other one was definitely dead. This one has a little bit of dead on it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I got it on sale. I tend to buy sale things. And back in there, everything is looking good. I will clean off the top of the fence this week. The neighbors must have cleaned their side. Yay, which means the vines have been cropped. All I have to do is get the stuff off the top of the fence, and I can deal with that. The other thing I was looking for this week was this, a match to this. This is called Sunny. It's the yellow knockout rose. I'm looking for another one because this one has died. I did find it in a couple of places, so hopefully one of them will be able to find it for me. Stokely's is looking. They have a large nursery, but it's a wholesale nursery, so you can't buy from it. You have to buy through the, I guess you'd call them outlet stores, or the stores where they sell the plants. Bananas are looking well there. The Encore Azalea, Autumn Carnation is in bloom. This camellia has a bunch of buds set. And I think that's about it for today. It's a beautiful day. I am going to start with breakfast at Arby's. Mainly because they have a pork chop biscuit. So have a good day. I hope you all are well and you all will stay well. And I'll see you next week. Take care.